Hello everyone, my name is Legend Ronnie and this game is Rise of Kingdoms. What plans do you have for this year in terms of upgrading your commanders? If you don't have any plans or you don't know which commander you should upgrade this year, I want to help you out in this video, particularly legendary commanders for free-to-play, low spenders, high spenders, all kind of levels of players, because you gotta have a goal. You need to know which commander you want to invest in this year. So that's why I'm here. In the same time, I want to do an update about my top 3 expertise commander, because this was a question that I have been asked quite a couple of times. Is it the top 3 expertise commanders that I actually recommend? Is it still the top 3, or with the new commanders that have been introduced since then has changed? So I'm going to do a small update about that as well. Starting with the top 3 expertise commanders that I actually recommend. Number 1 is YSG, number 2 is Richard, and number 3 is Genghis Khan. Now, do you actually have to expertise all 3 of them? No, you don't have to, but these are the top 3 expertise commanders that you want to think about. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because of their value overall, where you can use them on the battlefield, where you can use them in PvP, PvE, on your city in the Garrison. That would be Richard and YSG situation as utilities. Because for example, if you want to take some super strong commanders that everyone knows that they are very strong, like Attila and Takeda, where else can you use them except rallies and field battles? I've tried them in PvE, I tried them against Ceroli, I tried them in the Sunset Canyon. They just don't work. They obviously, anything that is involved PvP, they actually work, but anything else they don't. While Genghis Khan, YSG and Richard, they excel in all 3. Richard because of the healing, so there's a lot of other events or AoE farming, so you can keep doing a lot of cheap barbarian killing with your Richard, so definitely he helps a lot. YSG is still number 1, even with the update. I think it actually becomes a little bit better in terms of AoE, because now if you get multiple rallies on your city, YSG actually becomes stronger. I have to done the review of that patch, so you can definitely check it out. I'm also going to post a card on the top about my top 2 expertise commanders, because I obviously talked a lot more about them. A lot of questions that I also get about the top 3 expertise is why isn't Saladin included there? Because Saladin is, again, same as Attila, very powerful and strong for a particular reason, just PvP, just everything that involves field battles. Now recently we are using him as Garrison on the Osiris League or Ark of Osiris on the forwarding buildings, because it's very hard to actually get proper Garrison commanders. He is very tanky, but he doesn't last very long. If you watch our games, our Osiris League or Ark of Osiris game, you'll notice that Saladin is actually not actually surviving that long. Even though he's very tanky with the support Infantry and all that, he's still not enough. Proper Garrison commanders are still much better than that. So obviously that's why he's not in the top of the 3. On top of that, Saladin is very powerful. Once you max out the first 3 skill, he is one of the very unique commanders that got his conquering skill on the 4th, meaning that you can benefit the first 3 that are mainly everyone is interested in with the first 3. So you can do a very small investment like 5551, that's about 380 sculptures plus 10 to summon him. So that's the most minimum and cheapest investments you can do in Saladin, and you can get him, you know, as good as you can get. The other one is purely when you hit cities, so you don't really need it. 300 damage factor when you do field battles, you're not gonna see much of a difference. It definitely increases his damage, but it's not something like very crazy. I'm also gonna post the link about the minimum investment on all legendaries, so you can actually get them field battle ready. And since we are talking about legendary, there's a couple more things that you want to know. Probably some of you don't know. You want to know the stars and the sculptures approximately to max legendaries as well. That's very important, to be honest. Also, keeping legendaries at 1 star, it helps you a lot. You max out the primary skill. Then if the secondary skill is something that you're interested in, you keep him at 2 star, you max out the second skill, and then you go on. So this is pretty much the way you should perform and advance with your legendary. Also, you're noticing on equipment, as I keep switching between commanders, you're noticing which are my primary commanders. So that actually means that equipment only works from the primary commanders. You always want your primary commanders to have the best equipment for the task. Either you're doing field battles, Sunset Canyon rallies, Garrison defense, or whichever. Now, if you are a free-to-play and you are at the beginning, you definitely want to invest in YSG. That's pretty much what the majority of the free-to-play players are actually doing. They're investing in YSG because of his utility. Another small investment that most free-to-play do is just maxing the primary skill of Richard, so you can actually start benefiting from that heal. That heal actually can keep you a lot more on the battlefield that you can actually think, and you can start doing those AoE farming that I was talking about, either using Sansu or using Ethelfled, even YSG. You have pretty much 3 options that you can use with, so you can do AoE farming, and that helps you a lot. You gain resources, gems, and so on. Now, other commanders that I actually recommend, if you are a Cav player, definitely Sodding. I already talked about it and how you should do his skills, 5551. If your Genghis Khan is already done, you should never drop sculptures on Charles Martel, Double C, or any other commanders that drop from the gold keys. So commanders that drop from the gold keys, you should never drop universal sculptures. This is a #1 rule. Those commanders will be slowly upgraded with the gold keys. Even if not, many of them with just the primary 2 skills, they are really good. So I'm looking at someone like Mehmed, 5-5, you know, he's also good to go. Julius Caesar, 5-5, again, good to go. So never drop universal sculptures, they have way more value. You're noticing El Cid, 5555. So this is the minimum. I would literally start using El Cid, but I just not really an Archer fan or not really an El Cid fan because of his low direct damage factor with his primary skill. But if you actually need something or you want to use El Cid, because you're, you know, a lot of Archer based, 5551, he's good to go. But again, don't spend universal sculptures on him. And another thing I want to mention when I talked about my top 3 expertise legendaries, that's something you want to notice, that one of them is Infantry, one of them is Archer, and one of them is Cavs, meaning that you have for all 3 type of preferences. It's same with my top 3 epics, which I also advise people to invest on. Is Pelagius, is Sansu, and is Herman. So you have Cavs, you have Infantry, and you have Archers. Now another thing you wanna notice, so pretty much even the game gives you preferences about the gold chest commanders. So in the gold chest commanders that you can actually get, specific specialization commanders, because this is what I'm talking about, not the general and universal one. You have Charles Martel, which is infantry specialization, you have Double C, which is cavalry specialization, and you have El Cid, which is specialization. Even the game kinda try to give you these tips and advices somehow, that you need to focus on one specialization. So you need to choose a specialization from the start of the game. Now you have sides projects like YSG because it's just overall really good, or me, I was a rally leader, so I needed something in the first KVK, so I had to max out Frederick, but now I'm literally not using him, so he's just sitting there. But if you're a free-to-play, low spender, medium spender, you definitely want to choose a specialization. Even if you're saving sculptures, you definitely want to just choose a specialization and go on that, because the game is going in a direction, and if you want to plan ahead for the long time, though at some point there will probably be 10 Cav legendaries, 10 infantry, 10 archers, and when they will add more and more, it's going to be 12, 12, 12, 14, 14, 14, and so on. It's probably going to keep going on and on. So it's about equipment that you're crafting, it's about your sculptures that you're investing. So you want to make sure that on that line of specializations that you have, you always have sculptures, and you always go on that specialization, and you have those commanders topped up with everything you have. Even as a free-to-play, you can actually choose a path like that slowly. And like I mentioned, if you already have Genghis Khan and you already have YSG as a free-to-play, that means that you're in a very old kingdom having 2 max legendaries. I'm not talking about Ethelfled or other gathering commanders or commanders that you can get from the gold keys. I'm talking commanders that you actually spend universal sculptures. If you actually have these two and you want to focus on cabs, like I said, you definitely want to work on Saladin next. Now, if you're infantry and you manage to max out your Richard, like I said, Charles Martel drops from the gold keys. If you already max him out, there's no problem. The next thing I would do is do a 5-5 Constantine and a 5-5 Alexander. Now, once I'm done with that, I want to work on Alexander and probably max him out. But Constantine as 5-5, he's already good to go, and then work on Alexander slowly if you're infantry. And if you're archers, you definitely want to rethink about that as a free-to-play. Edward is rally specific. He's a beast on the battlefield as well, but in the same time, he's very much rally oriented, and archers don't actually have much defense. That is pretty much why I only have 2 archer commanders. YG is very universal, and Edward is very good for rallies. I maxed him out the moment it came out. When I saw 2500 damage factor, I was sold. I said, this is it. This guy is gonna rock bottom. So it actually does. He's very, very good. But on the battlefield, he's pretty much getting demolished. So I don't use him for field battles. So definitely you want to make sure about the investments that you want to do on the commanders. You want to make sure that you do the right investments. So you want to invest on commanders that will actually serve you a lot on the battlefield and not in rallies. As part of archers, not very much investment I would highly recommend doing right now, because all the archer commanders, including Tomiris, they are pretty squishy on the battlefield. Is too many cabs roaming around, and pretty much the field battle meta right now is infantry and cabs. People that are doing archers, they just because they want to use legendaries for some reason, they don't believe in epics like me, so they're still using archers. For me, it's no problem. I actually enjoy it because they just go down really fast. If you have no other options and you actually want to use archer for field battles, then go ahead and use them, but you need to know the consequences. I've kept trying, and I kept trying and trying to use archers, but it's just crazy large amount of hospital bills, so I just stopped doing it. And now the question goes where a lot of people are probably thinking about Attila, Takeda, Guan Yu, and Leonidas. Now, as a free-to-play player, I have to say that Attila and Takeda, they actually doing a lot more on the battlefield that probably everyone else was expecting. And they are very powerful, but to be honest, they need to be maxed out. So I've done a 5-5-5-1 Takeda. It was actually working very, very well. But if you look at the last skill, this actually reduced your normal attack and counter attack damage plus 5% skill damage reduction. So for example, a Saladin and a Takeda, that's a very strong combination. You can do a 5-5-5-1 Saladin, you can do a 5-5-5-1 Takeda, and that can be a very solid combination. You'll not have the expertise, which is actually really good, and the 4 skill from Takeda, but still very solid. So definitely Takeda can be an investment, but like I already mentioned, you need Saladin. So there's obviously other investments before you want to get here. Or you need at least Genghis, because Genghis and Takeda, I tested it and I was really happy with the results. They're actually doing great. Then the question comes, if you are actually a Cav player, about Attila, is actually worth investment? Yes, he does. He's a beast. Even on the field battles, especially rallies, I mean, everyone's seen that. There's nothing more to talk about it. But you need the other Cavs commander first. It is as simple as it is. And on top of that, Attila doesn't work with anyone else. People are saying that Attila and Saladin. I've tried Attila and Double C. I've also tried. I thought that the amount of attack, which is pretty unique so far on just one specific true 55% cav attack from one commander, will actually compensate for Attila, but it doesn't. Apparently still Takeda is the best or the way to go with Attila. So if you want to start doing an investment on Attila, you need to take Takeda in consideration as well. That's the way it works. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I'm doing the same. I'm just using them together. If you now want to invest in Attila, you can definitely invest in Takeda, but then you need Saladin to actually make this pair very solid. You can also go with Genghis, like I mentioned. Now, in terms of infantry, if you're already done with your Alex and your Constantine is definitely worth it to be expertise. I'm also thinking, because I already done a huge investment, 5-5-5-1. That was not what I wanted to do. Trust me, I just maxed the first 2 skill and then I unlocked the other 2. I didn't want the Garrison skill, but I was unlucky with 4 skills. All 4 went on the Garrison. So that's how my luck is. It's definitely worth it to have a expertise Constantine if you're an infantry based player, and definitely is worth it to have an Alexander. And personally, I would go with these 2 before I would invest in Guan Yu and Leonidas. You can definitely check the Guan Yu Commander Spotlight. I talked a lot more about it because a lot of people are a little bit demoralized on Guan Yu's performance. But for field battles, you want to keep Guan Yu as a second in command, exactly like I mentioned in his Commander Spotlight. He does have a huge direct damage factor, so all the people tend to put him primary, but if he doesn't survive, then how much direct damage factor will he do? This is the questions that you want to ask yourself. So that's why you want to work on the other commanders, then you want to invest in Guan Yu and Leonidas, and I would definitely keep Guan Yu as a second in command, because that's how I believe that he serves the best for field battles. For rallies, definitely you want first to benefit on that huge nuke. Now obviously there's going to be Archer Commander, which everyone is actually expecting them to come anytime soon. Probably going to see them after this update, like not yet recruited, which, you know, always they post the new commanders over there, and that's going to be crazy how good they will actually be. We will going to see when they are released. So pretty much this is my advice how you want to work on your commanders. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I haven't talked about any kind of universal commanders like Wu Zetian, you know, leadership universe. These are universal commanders that can pretty much be used everywhere. I haven't talked about Julius Caesar, I haven't talked about Mehmed, I haven't talked about Barca. So well, Barca is a VIP, pretty much paid to win, but all the commanders that you want to invest in, it's always specific specialization commanders, and depending on the specialization that you want to focus on. I hope you find this video very helpful, and I hope you can actually choose your goal for this year. And I'm looking forward to see what you guys have chose and which commanders you're gonna invest on. Until next time, this is your boy Legend Ronnie signing off. Peace out, yo. Take care. See you guys on the next one.